Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, but we started Together for Sharon.com in her memory. Also to advocate today for a cure for all those still battling Parkinson's disease and their families, because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is someone who really means the world to me. I often say that, but this individual is like family because we talk so much and she truly inspires me. I wanted to welcome you, Tracy, to the show, and such an honor to finally get together and virtually give a virtual hug together. And it's been, really been excited for this talk.
Yeah, thanks, George. I appreciate it. I have to tell you a little secret. Shortly after my diagnosis in 2018, myself, like many others, we turned to Google to find out more. And I think, had just recently launched Together for Sharon website.
Well,
And yours was one of the first that I came across with regards to Parkinson's. And I remember looking at it thinking, wow, I don't know who this guy George is, but he must have really loved his mother. And I knew there was more of a story behind it. But at the time, your website was new and I kind of set it aside for a little bit. And then I fast forward a couple years later and we meet kind of through social media and some other things. And we've been, chatting in the background. So I just wanted to tell you that it was your website was the first one that I came across really regarding Parkinson's.
well,
So thank you
no,
for putting it out there.
no, I appreciate it. That means the world. Individuals like you really keep me wanting to keep fight. My mother unfortunately would have been her birthday a few weeks ago, and we can't bring her back, but we can make sure that you and everyone out there listening, their families, caregivers don't have to keep battling, at least not alone. I felt alone as a caregiver. And my mother, I'm shocked to realize just a few weeks ago, I don't know why, she never met anyone who had Parkinson's. So imagine
Oh,
and not today with the amazing family like you I have. I imagined zooming in together. We didn't have the technology. Imagine she would have smiled. She would have loved you and everybody in this community. And that's really why we're sitting here together live in a way on Saturday. When we all have beautiful views and things going on, but we take the time still, no matter what we're going through, to advocate. And being together is why I do this. So your friendship beyond today means so much to me. And I always smile when I think of you and all the incredible things you're doing too.
I appreciate that. I like the fact that your tagline is together.
Yeah.
Together for Sharon, together for all. And that really breaks my heart that she never knew anyone else with Parkinson's. But I have to admit that, of course, when I got diagnosed, I didn't know anybody with Parkinson's either,
Yeah.
and had no idea that there was this whole, like universe out there of people. So I love that together because we are not alone. And I know you say that so much every time. You
I,
constantly say that we're not alone.
yeah, it's hard because, I don't want anything. I joked to you last show. It's like, people have shows and podcasts, no offense, but usually they have something they need, which is okay. It's normal, like business or something, but I just want a cure. And, not even for myself, but for you and everyone out there. But I want to start the show with a little quote, which I've never done. And this is, I hope I don't mess it up, but real change, enduring change happens one step at a time. That's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And I thought that was perfect for today's show because every day, like you said, when you met me and I met you, we see so much change. Thankfully, in a way, it's positive change because of the research developing. And, when I started Together for Sharon, ironically, you told a beautiful story. I need to record that so I can share it besides this. But, I thought maybe three people would see the site, and we've had over 40,000 people visit, which either means we're doing something right or sadly the opposite. The disease is progressing more and more. So, maybe we could kick off this beautiful talk today, which means the world to me. I'll keep saying it because it does. I was so excited when I knew you were coming on. I'm excited for everyone, but again, we've have such a great relationship and friends too out of here that it meant so much. But maybe we can start by telling us a little bit about, your journey, and then I want to talk a lot about advocacy.
Yeah, so a little bit about my journey. So many journeys are different yet the same. And mine, um, looking back, I could see some symptoms, 3, 5, 10, 15 years prior. But really, what brought me to my journey to get diagnosed was I've always been super active. I before Parkinson's, I was the person who I would get up in the morning. I teach water aerobics 3 days a week, and then I'd go and do my own workout. I go to the office, and at my campus, we had a full-fledged gym. So I'd go to a yoga class or a Zumba class or something at lunchtime, and there were times when I would still teach another water aerobics class at night, and full-time mom and all this stuff. So just very, very active. Love to be outside. And I got sidelined with a foot injury, and that foot injury put me into one of those boots for like 6 months. And about 2 months into this foot injury, very obviously my activity level went way, way down. And I discovered that my body just started doing some really weird things. I had no energy. I couldn't stay awake. My hands were just weird. They were like claws, and I this was me when I was in the shower trying to wash my hair, and everything was slow motion like I was in the Matrix.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what was going on. I was focused on getting my foot injury healed so I can get back to exercising. And then I spent Thanksgiving with my sister-in-law, and my niece's husband is a boxer, and he's been a boxer for a long time, and their gym is involved in the Rock Steady boxing program. And he looked at me and he said, "I'm not a doctor." He said, "But Tracy, I work with people with Parkinson's. And I'm sorry to say, you look just like these people I work with who have Parkinson's." And I was like, "What are you telling me?" He said, "I'm telling you, please go to the doctor. When you get home, please promise me you'll go to the doctor. Go see a neurologist. Skip your family doctor, go to a neurologist." And I did. And to this day, I owe him my diagnosis, bottom line. Um, so, who knew? And what was so weird with me is compared to some people is that some people talk about these slow progression. I had this and I had that. Mine just literally came on all at once. And I don't think I've ever met another person yet who has had that experience. Again, like I said, looking back, I can kind of see like the whole sense of you lose your sense of smell. Well, when did you lose your sense of smell? Oh, I don't know. I haven't smelled anything since I was in my mid 30s. And who knew that that was part of Parkinson's? But just within less than 2 months, my entire body shut down, full fledged Parkinson's, and it was scary. It was really scary. So I'm very grateful.
Well, sorry you had to go through that, but I'm thinking, and we're all thinking about you all the time, and still out there advocating, so we can hopefully find a cure very soon. My mother had it for 15 years, but oddly, well, for seven, I only heard the word Parkinson. I didn't even know it was a disease, and this is 6 years ago. But then the last 4 years is something I had to write about because I still, at this point, sitting here with you, have no clue why it progressed or what happened. Because she actually was very healthy. She had no other medical issues. She was only
Yeah.
69 when she passed, and she went from, I always say on my different shows, but she went from walking a few miles a week to all of a
Mhm.
sudden
Yeah.
2 years of the cane, then the walker, then wheelchair, bedbound out of nowhere. So only thing we could think of is she went to special trial, which I won't name the university because I don't blame anyone but the disease. But I think they changed her medication too drastically, and that was the night I became her caregiver and our journey started. So appreciate you, of course, sharing that. I did have a few important areas that I want to touch on. And then as you do respond, I'm going to share some beautiful areas that you use to promote awareness. And before I do that, something important to you, and I've done a lot of research that helps so many, is faith, spirituality, and your strength, and also things that are unfortunately apathy we need to kind of work on and get rid of in society, as well as misconceptions of Parkinson's. So maybe you can, I know it's a lot, but maybe you could touch on some of those as now I'm going to, as you're speaking, I'm going to share some of the most beautiful things that you do too. So
Oh,
I'll give
thanks.
you the mic.
No, I appreciate you asking that about, like I said, kind of faith, spirituality, et cetera, and how that affects and apathy, especially with Parkinson's, because apathy is something honestly, I'd never heard of apathy before. I mean, I probably heard the word, but I had no idea what it was. And I didn't understand it, and I didn't know that I even had apathy until into Parkinson's. I'm experiencing things that I've never experienced before. I've always been a very kind of vivacious, like I said, very active person, full of life, full of care and love for other people. And I found myself just really one day just empty. And the way I describe it is when I was a kid, I used to love at Easter time, you get those giant chocolate bunnies, and you were
Mhm.
so excited to get them because they were big and they were chocolate and they looked so yummy, and you bit into it. and it was hollow on the inside. And that to me is the epitome of apathy with Parkinson's. That's how I feel when I'm in an apathy cycle. I call it an apathy cycle. And it's very hard for me because I'm a kind of a deep feeling kind of person. I'm a spiritual person. And that's hard. It's hard to have be that person of faith and just not be able to feel that anymore. You know it's still there. You know you still have your beliefs, um, but you can't feel them, and you can't get that love and reassurance from that part of your life because you just feel like that chocolate bunny that's hollow in the inside. Um, yeah, it's different, and it's taken me a couple of years to kind of come to grips with it, to understand it better. Um, I recently had 2 experiences in the last 6 months that have really, really helped me. One was, this maybe in March, I was having a very, very deep apathy cycle, and I just was feeling like I hit rock bottom. So I called. I have a therapist that I keep in my back pocket. I don't see her all the time, but I kind of see her when I need to. And I called her and I said, "Hey, I'm just really having a cycle." And we got caught up, and she said, "Okay, well, first of all, you've had a ton of stressors in the last year. I don't blame you for feeling the way you're feeling." And I said, "But yeah, but when I'm doing things like it's snowboarding season and I'm going out and I'm snowboarding and I don't feel joy having doing these activities. What can I do?" So she gave me some tools and tips to use to help me and help me to see about one of the things she told me to do was take something that you love doing, but do it in a different way, approach it differently. And that was huge for me. So I've been working on that and that really helps. So my advice to others would be to try that, and or if you haven't ever thought about talking to a therapist before about apathy, it helped me. Maybe it can help you. I know for me personally, we've tried medication with my doctor. I worked with him and medication didn't work. Um, and then the other thing that happened is just very recently, I heard a man talking and he said, if you feel that you're at a point with your faith or your spirituality and you're having a hard time feeling it because of things like depression, stress, apathy, other things that just naturally get in the way, not by choice, but by nature get in the way. He said, just again, he said the same thing the therapist said. Try other ways to try to get that feeling back into you again. So in other words, try to fill up that hollow chocolate bunny, with the yummy caramel or nougat that you would expect when you bite in there, right? And he gave some suggestions. He was like music, walks in nature, just maybe something that you haven't done before, that can help you because neurologically that's gonna, it's like a brain reset, I guess. But he gave that, and he's a spiritual person. This is a spiritual person who gave this advice, and so I'm working on that right now. I'm really working on that through music. And it's helping me. I hope it, that maybe it can help someone else.
No, and that's what I love about you and appreciate is that you're not obviously just fighting for yourself, but these tips are so helpful for many others who might feel alone and listening. So please share this again. Please support Tracy. I do want to thank you too. And like you mentioned, it's amazing how quickly time flies. We met a little bit before July 29th, 2023. So it's been a long journey. And I want to thank you again for sharing a lot about your path and journey forward. If everyone goes to togetherforsharon.com, click interviews, you can see a lot more in depth with Tracy about her background, a lot about her diagnosis and her advocacy, and some incredible tips that kind of never change, but really helpful in how to reach out. One question I have as a fan, as your fan, is can you tell us what snarky mama is? Snarky, because I've been following you for so long, and I've actually thought about it, but I also want to share. Everybody, please follow Tracy here at Snarky Parky Mommy. I follow her, and I also love liking all her stuff. I did it live here, but maybe you could tell us a little bit about, how you got the screen name and all about it.
Yeah, so Snarky Mommy came from, unfortunately, um, as we know with Parkinson's, sometimes we can get the cognitive part of Parkinson's that changes our personality. I know I read your book and with your mom, and it sounded like some of that happened with your mom, where her personality changed some. And I experienced that with the apathy. When I get when it starts spiraling, I my personality changes. And I, who am always the, again, fun loving, high energy, just, it's like "Arr, the clouds come out" kind of thing. And that's what my family. And so somebody in the family, I don't remember, I think it was my husband or one of my boys, just one day said, "Oh, put snarky mommy back in the bottle. We don't like you." So it just became a thing. It just, kind of a family joke. We, I hope this doesn't sound bad or negative, but we take a Parkinson's with a grain of humor in my house. And for us, it works, and I think it has to. But that's where snarky mommy came in. It just became a thing. I even tried to get a vanity plate.
I love
It
it.
wouldn't fit, and I couldn't figure out an abbreviation for it. So instead, my vanity plate. Again, like I said, I taught water aerobics for 20 years, and I love the pool. And so now I do have vanity plate, and it's Aqua Mom.
Oh, I love it. I do want to
But so
thank
that,
you. I also just noticed you actually linked to our article, which is beautiful. I didn't even see that before, which is means the world.
yeah, no, George, I have to tell you, I see what you're doing, and I see that you are concerned for the one. Um, and that's me. I'm all about the one on one with people. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I feel I'm the most effective. And what you're doing is amazing. And what I see you doing, and all of this, everything that you're building, right? The website and the bios and the book, the stories that you put out, all these podcasts. Um, you're building a repertoire and a database, basically, that I really honestly feel in my heart one day is going to somebody's going to we're going to need, basically, George, we're going to need what you're building as we come closer to a cure. I truly believe that.
I
So keep
appreciate it.
going, please.
And also, like everyone, I always remind everybody it's completely free. That's the most important. I always, that's why I think sometimes even though we've talked to get the 1% who I feel 99.9 have to be a family in this fight for a cure, but you always get the few for some reason that kind of think there's something more. But if you get to know me and know I don't want even any money for the books is donated fully back to the Michael J. Fox Foundation, the American Parkinson's. So we've kind of lost over $80,000 so far. I'm very honest when I talk about it. And I don't say lost, but we spent or donated 80,000, I'd say, in the last 4 years for all this, and we've asked nothing in return. I actually got a quick story, funny. Someone once handed me $5 at a walk, like the Parkinson's Foundation, and I said, "No, we don't accept money," and he ran away. So I literally found him. I mailed the money to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I mailed him a receipt because that's not what this is about. It is hard, it's draining. Some days, like we leave and I feel like a truck rolled over me, but I just feel that everyone I meet, like you, helps me remember my mother and still helps me grieve and cope even 5 years later. It's tough. We're coming to the holidays, and even for everyone listening, sometimes it's not as easy. But there's a seat missing at our table, and it's due, unfortunately, due to Parkinson. But we try our best to keep her remembered and her memory alive through everyone I meet. So I wanted to thank you again, but also everyone, please go to Instagram and follow Snarky Barky Mommy. Also on, I love this one, is Facebook, which obviously I'm a big fan. I like liking everything as we are live. Please follow Tracy here under her name. And then the reason I think we met or I fell in love with you is the TikTok. And I never used TikTok 3 years ago in my life. I decided to try it, and then I found a world of advocates like yourself who really have inspired me. And I mean, even you click here, I'm very good friends with Melissa, everybody. It's like a little family. But please, again, follow Tracy at Snarky Mommy again, 65 at TikTok, which I love. Before I go forward, maybe you could talk a little bit about TikTok, and a lot of these amazing individuals have been on the show, been trying to get the Kilted Dad for a long time. Maybe you could talk to him, and we're this close, but I just love having you on because I feel like you are all my family, even if you didn't realize that, because I spend more time speaking to most of you and than even my own family, which I get sometimes it's not, you have to spend time with your family. But even my children,
Yeah.
they're young, but they don't. One of them was only 2 when my mother passed, so he doesn't really know her. So by doing this, we kind of have him remember and learn about his grandmother and how much she loved him.
Yeah, I so with regards to TikTok, I think it was Amber, um, the younger gal Amber, and I can't think of her
She's
last
been
name,
on
and
the
who
show. Yes, for
yeah, I know she's been on your show. She, I think, was the first one that I happened to see on TikTok, and I certainly did not get on TikTok for, Parkinson's. I got on there to for something else, and then I found out that there was this whole world of people on Parkinson's, and that it was really an emerging media platform for people with Parkinson's to get their story out there, something that I had not seen yet. Seen a little bit on Instagram, mostly on Facebook, and I'm sorry to say that a lot of the stuff on Facebook, even that I found, was at the time, because this was 3, 4 years ago, was very negative, and I just can't do negative. Even as a person who struggles with apathy, I cannot do the negative thing. And I found that the TikTok platform allowed me to kind of video me in action of trying to still be active and doing things and sharing what I loved. And the whole thing is just to try and get people to see and understand that you may be a person with Parkinson's, but you're so much more. You were something before you had Parkinson's, and you're still that person underneath that, and you can still learn and grow and have fun and do new things, right? Like, before Parkinson's, I skied. I can't ski anymore because of the Parkinson's, but my son said, "Hey mom, try snowboarding." I tried it, and it's clunky and it's sloppy, and I'm still on the beginner hill, but I'm doing it. Music, I have found, is really helping the apathy, really helping it. I'm teaching myself to play the piano. Well, I've been doing that since I was 8. But recently, a couple months ago, I bought a flute, and I'm starting, teaching myself to play the flute. And I try to share some of that journey with people out on social media. I'm not very consistent with it, but I don't care about that. I post when I feel inspired to post, or I have time to post, because I am still working full time. I am still a mom and have other responsibilities. So, that might my advocacy never is set aside, but again, I'm focused on the one. And so there's a lot of things that I do advocacy wise and support wise that go on in the background that aren't public on TikTok. Um, but that's where my passion is. I've just recently started something on one of my more favorite sites on Facebook, and I say favorite because it's the moderators make sure that things are very, very positive, and that's I post what's called the question of the week, and I say in it I'm looking for upbeat suggestions and whatever things that will help people and inspire people. So that's something new that I've kind of added, and it's quick, and I don't have to spend too much time. And because sometimes, unfortunately, with TikTok, I get wrapped up in the editing part of it, and it's like that's not the purpose of it, Tracy.
I really love all you do, and everyone, please again follow Tracy on all these areas. I do want to quickly mention that you're involved with the Parkinson's Association of the Rockies. One big thing is, I try to reach out to organizations to help kind of promote them, and I want nothing in return. The reason I believe this is important is not only do I think, and that working together, our voices are so much stronger. But let's just pretend there's one, not pretend it probably is, but one person out there in Colorado right now, like my mother here, we're in Florida, who thinks, there's no one out there that cares about them or doesn't know there's support out there. Well, in my kind of mind, I thought, why not contact every, organization in the country or even out of the US in the world, including we have Parkinson's UK coming on the show. We've had some incredible people around the world. There's no reason why not. And I just hope that even today we reach, that one individual in Colorado that now learns about an incredible organization like this, who I only have good things to say about everyone. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them, but through you, we still share them. And, they mean the world to me, even if they don't know who I am or know what we do. But that's the biggest, downfall, unfortunately, with this is 2024. If you want to do good things and help people and have no motive in the background, it's kind of shocking still for a few people, but that's what it
Yeah. Yeah, there are, and PAR is a great group, and so I appreciate you spotlighting them with
Oh,
me
yeah.
on here so that again, like you said, hopefully maybe if there's somebody who watches this or hears this who's from Colorado, has Parkinson's, has not ever heard of Parkinson's Association of the Rockies. They are a great organization. Just Wednesday night, I hosted a young onset, a YOPD online support group, and we had a newly diagnosed gal, join us. And for that one person, for that 1 hour, we made a difference. We helped her, and she now knows, she's not alone. And bless her heart, she said, it was. I asked her, I said, "What made you join the call today?" And she said, "Well, it's because it's been over 6 months, and I haven't told anybody. I haven't talked to anybody, other than her like immediate family." And she said, "And I just don't think I can keep going like this." She needed to kind of, let herself out a little bit. And she was vulnerable and jumped on a Zoom call. And
No,
that's what I think that's what you and I are out here trying to do is just if we can reach the one, if we can get the one person to, push the button to join the Zoom call and understand that we are with them and they are not alone.
yeah, I mean, that's literally why we started together for Sharon.com. It started off as kind of a little bit as a memory of my mother, but after 2 years, when I found out the 10 million people around the world, over a million in the US have it, I decided it's not just about us anymore. It has to be about everyone. I just wish, and I'm writing a book like about it, but I wish we could get 100% on board. But 99.9 is pretty, I won't curse, but pretty bleep good. So I wanted to shift
Pretty
now to,
snarky good. We'll call it
yeah,
snarky good.
I love that. I need a shirt now. Like now you got another idea. But now I wanted to shift to I think the most fun, even though the whole time together is always a pleasure and an honor. But can you list 3 words that describe who you are?
Wow. Okay. That's fun because right now I'm up in the mountains with some friends of mine. We've been friends since junior high, and I won't tell you how old I am, but we just had our 40th class reunion. So you do the math, how long we've been friends. And we were talking a lot, and these ladies are telling me, they're like, Tracy, you're a person of faith. You're a person of strength. You're a person of resilience. So I'll stop there.
I love it. That's probably why I named the book I wrote just recently, Voices of Resilience. And I have a feeling you'll be showing up in an edition very soon. Here's an important one. What is one moment, and you mentioned a few, but is there one moment or most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work with awareness that you can share?
With regards to awareness, great question. One that stands out. Well, just really quickly, a couple come to mind, and nothing specific. But anytime I have an opportunity to talk to somebody one on one, especially somebody who's newly diagnosed, that just charges my battery. It really does. Um, that does. And okay, I'm having a Parkinson's brain moment because the other one just flew right out of my brain. Um, sure, it'll
It's
come to
okay.
me. Oh, with advocacy, right? Pooh. Sorry, folks. Parkinson's moment. This is what it looks like being live.
Yeah, I love that. That's why we have conversations. It's okay. But here's a good one. Who is your hero and inspiration?
Um, my hero and inspiration is Emmanuel Manny Brown. He's my niece's husband, the boxer,
Mhm.
who is a rock steady coach. And simply because, like I said in the beginning, the story with him, who he had the courage to speak up. He didn't have to say anything, in my opinion. He was extremely courageous to speak up and have the guts to look at me and say, I think there's something wrong with you. And, and because if it wasn't for him having the courage to speak up, I wouldn't have gotten the diagnosis as fast as I did. And my husband was at the appointment with me. And he was, after we left the appointment, he was the first person I called afterwards and thanked him. And yeah, so I owe him so much for being brave enough um, to speak up.
Thanks. And we send our love and thank you to him too, and your husband and the whole family and the beautiful ladies who helped you set up for the show. We're all family, a community in this together. So we send our thanks to people behind the scenes in your life too. There's a lot of times you and I might be kind of the spokespeople, but people don't remember that there's others affected and also that send our love and support you too. So thanks to them too. Next area is if you were asked to write a script, and you'll love this one, to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it? I know it's going to be snarky.
Oh, I should be calling my friends in from the other room to ask them to name what this movie should be. Um, you know, I think it would be Climb Every Mountain.
I like that.
The Sound of Music. I was born uh, Christmas. I was born at the time that The Sound of Music was first published and coming into the theaters. My
Mhm.
mother introduced me to musicals. It's my favorite musical of all times, and I love the. I just love that song. And the
Mhm.
words to that song, climb every mountain, cross every stream, don't leave anything undone. Don't um, leave questions unanswered. Don't not try something because you're afraid of it. Just yeah, climb every mountain.
We have so much more just in talking this half hour in common than we realize. I'm personally sitting with a boot on right now, my left ankle. And also my mother, I'm in Florida, but I was brought up on Broadway. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and my mother's favorite thing was
Oh,
Broadway. So we saw every show. And one last moment I had with her, which was an honor, is her favorite song was Memory. And you might have seen this, but if you go to the bottom of Together for Sharon, the main page, and scroll to the bottom, unfortunately, she, progressed so quickly, the disease, but we had brought in music therapy, and somehow, in some reason, I decided one week to sit down because I played guitar for 20 years, and the music therapist and I played Memory for my mother. And sadly, in a way, it was beautiful, but it was the last word she ever said to us was she loved it. And you won't hear her on the video or see her because I didn't want to show her, after progressing, but was a moment captured on video, which we share to everyone. That's really incredible, and how important theater, music, improv, all the things you brought up today are for not just people with Parkinson, but also caregivers. So,
yeah, music is powerful. It really is. It's the one thing that is proving to me to fill that void with the apathy, and
yeah.
that is music. And just literally 5 minutes before I came on to the call with you, my friends and I were listening to a song as our friend told us a story, and she was telling us, sharing the song with her about how that song impacted, this experience in her life. It is so powerful. And I do remember reading that about your mom in the book and your
Yeah.
love for musicals.
I feel like singing Ain't No Mountain High Enough right now because you're talking about mountains. And anyway, we could probably talk for hours, and I'm sorry.
Oh, I'd love to talk musicals with you, George.
But if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be as we wrap up? Unfortunately.
My TikTok tagline, and I think it's kind of it's I have a variation of the tagline, but it is, you may be a person with Parkinson's, but you're so much more. Just like I said, just one more time, I will kind of reiterate the fact that I was me before Parkinson's. I'm me with Parkinson's. I will continue to be me with Parkinson's, and just do everything you can to just be yourself, be real, continue to do whatever it is you love and enjoy, and just go out there and do it. Just keep being you.
Well, you're my inspiration, and I'm so honored, to have you as a friend, call you family. But I always do say, even though there's darkness and I lost my best friend, my mother, I've gained so many incredible people. I wish I had known then, but like you and so many of the others on, TikTok, it's not just kind of a social media, it's become like our outlet, our family, and happy, sad together. We sometimes cry together. Sometimes, as you know, I don't sleep, and I'm posting and writing to all of you together. So so grateful again for your time today, and I've been so excited. I told my wife before we started she had to go, but I wanted, someday I hope you'll meet her. And
Oh, yes, I would love to.
have
She
a
seems like a wonderful woman.
she was my mother's best friend too, which was nice. We had a special relationship. But I do want to end today with a message to you and everyone listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Tracy, will advocate for you, and I feel together our voices are so much stronger. And I always kind of laugh a little and say I'm just getting started because obviously none of us have just got started, but from the time we met to the time in between and the days that we talk and even the days that we don't talk, but I follow you. You truly have inspired me. The days that I have tough days and time and boots and back surgery and thighs, I don't even know what anymore. I gave up. But the second I see you and everyone out there in the Parkinson's community, I kind of brush it off like a Jay-Z song, I always say, and I get right back to fighting for a Parkinson's cure because we still don't know, if I might have it someday. Some of the stories you said kind of think make me think, who knows. But whether I do or not, it won't stop me until there's a cure at everyone's doorstep. So I wanted to thank you again, Tracy, for your time today and your friends
Yeah.
for letting me steal you away for a little bit. I hope this is not the end. I know I want everyone out there. Please go to Tracy's social media, Snarky Parky Mommy on Instagram, Tracy McBee on Facebook, and also my favorite is on TikTok, where it's again Snarky Mommy 65. You can follow her, reach out. She's so personable and amazing. I wish everybody was like you because it would change the world and for the better and positive. So thanks again for everything you do and for joining me today.
Oh, we love you, George. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And thanks everyone for listening. Please share this. Again, we don't want anything but to let you know that you're not alone. We don't gain anything but to know that you're not alone. And the only thing we want is a cure. But until that day, until it's at all of our doorsteps around the world, we'll be fighting alongside one another. So everyone, thank you. Please share this. Again, this conversation cannot end just after this. Has to be continued until there's a cure. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son, George. So grateful again for everyone. And we're coming just in a month to the holidays. So we're going to have some important shows for holidays and pick me ups. And main thing is keep smiling because we're not going to give up. I know you won't either. Thanks, everyone.
No. Yep. Thanks, George. Love you. Bye.